Thanks. I'm going to take you today through our data analytics as a service offering. And I think before I start, I want to really just speak to 4 challenges that customers continue to talk to us about with their continued analytics investment. The first one being around the type of work that their analytics resources spend their time on. So the reality and the challenges you can see in this graph from Gartner is that by and large, these rather expensive, really talented resources in our clients' teams spend a disproportionate amount of their time doing and implementing and fulfilling requirements with very little time spent on enablement, on advising the business, or on delivering insights. And they battle to get out of this kind of continuous cycle of the cost of running and operating their analytics environments. The second thing that they have, obviously, is the skills mix and the fact that over different times and based on different levels of maturity, the skills that they need also in the organization shift. At different times, you need different data skills. At different times, you need different business insight skills. And handling that complexity of skills, it's very difficult to keep on the staff permanently and consistently. And that often creates a barrier to analytical progress. The third one we speak about is the pace of technology innovation. And if you look at the speed, and this is just an example of a Gartner hype cycle, but the capabilities that are coming in through analytics, the competencies that are needed today to evolve analytics and just to keep up and to be able to leverage new technology is very hard because you need to be abreast of what trends are meaningful, what trends are going to make an impact, and what trends are ultimately going to deliver value. And the last point is their spend profile. The problem with conventional ways of buying and ways of engaging is this traditionally high, large upfront cost and therefore barrier, particularly now in a COVID time, to being able to drive real growth and drive real opportunity and looking for a different cost profile. Now, you get the software as a service model for analytics and for the applications, and now also for the hosting and the hardware, etc. But the service model still generally has a profile that looks like this, which requires you to spend a lot of money to invest to build things before your people even start to use them. So when we looked at this and we said, with so much changing in the world, shouldn't the analytics delivery model also be open to some form of disruption? And we believe the data analytics as a service offering that we've created really helps to solve that problem for many of our clients. And we looked at a couple of key principles of where we said, what is the way of working today? And what should this way of working ultimately become? And I'll list a couple for you here. But the first one is this idea of this big CapEx-led model. The ability to shift the investment and spend in analytics services away from heavy, intensive, large upfront CapEx to a consistent OpEx, almost SaaS-style model becomes important to driving scale. The second one is about building a more structured analytical program. So as opposed to just being very reactionary, when we have money, when we're able to deliver, the business is able to drive a new program of engagement. It's being able to move away from a skills constraint, so having exposure to different skills at different times. And sometimes you need an architect, sometimes you need a cloud architect, but other times you need an analyst, and then you need a data scientist, and sometimes you need a business advisor, or you need an accountant. So the ability to expand the resource pool as opposed to just be constrained by the resources on the project. The cost to manage platforms, it's expensive to have people on staff to ultimately sit and run these products. How do we rather convert them to becoming more meaningful to the business rather than spend the money just keeping it alive, and rather leverage an outsourced shared services model to ultimately deliver that? The shift from ad hoc development, ad hoc progress to a continuous improvement model also, which is a model that iteratively evolves and continues to develop, again, as opposed to being based on random business requirements at different times in the life cycle. And also in that management, so the demand management, how to manage demand, how to manage your demand more efficiently, how to coordinate that between the providers as well as the clients on the business and on the IT side. And then being able to leverage knowledge. So having progress based only on the things we know versus being able to leverage a library and a knowledge platform of skills, solutions, and insights that have been gained from experiences around the world. And with that, we've developed the data analytics as a service offering. So it focuses on, as we said, on 4 key principles: the shift in the costing model, the ability to access knowledge through a knowledge marketplace, which is content, skills, solutions, etc. Driving a continuous improvement model, being able to use continuous improvement to drive impact. this consistent trickle investment that allows you to continue to expand momentum. And then providing structure to an analytics program to help get to the outcome that the client ultimately wants. So if I start with the first one, if we speak about the idea of changing the cost model, this is often what we see from many of our clients' investment profiles, which is this rather large upfront investment and this kind of annual increments, but the problem of spend. But the problem that you have with that is that the organization's ability does kick up. But over a period of time, we see them start to slow. So we don't see this constant evolution and improvement of analytical capability because we build something and then we get used to using it. And as we get used to using it, we now start to flatline. We don't necessarily improve. We don't necessarily get better because the solutions we bought have stayed the same over time. So the business fails to largely improve its analytical ability. And what we seek to do with the service is saying, well, because we've got a continuous improvement model, we create compounding capability because that constant investment results in a constant evolution of the platform, a constant improvement of the technology, a constant improvement of the solution. And with that, people improve. It's the same as going to gym. By constant work, constant gains, constant hard effort into it, you are able to ultimately be able to get improvement. But the benefit is, at a cost model, I'm able to get the same solutions that I would have got over here, but I'm able to pay for them differently. So my payment method no longer becomes my barrier ultimately to progress. When we think about knowledge as well, it's about being able to access the range of skills, solutions, IP that's been developed around these different technology offerings, around these different capabilities, as well as the skills needed at varying times. So the decisioning model allows us to bring in our data sets that we've developed and our insights and IP, leverages this knowledge, the technology and skills from all of our clients around the world to bring together a single platform that clients are able to use to drive speed in their analytical improvement. And it's also about accessing ranges of skills. So whether that be technology skills, technical skills, frameworks and applications, or even different delivery profiles, clients are able to access these technology solutions and on a scalable, affordable, sustained basis. The continuous improvement model is important because when we speak about it, it's about this idea about building a truly robust journey. We speak to clients about actually analytics being more of a journey than a destination. So it's this continuous cycle of improvement. So if we look where we see many clients, many of them start implementing BI, they build dashboards, they get some alerts, and they deliver reporting, and they build what we'll largely call the information portal ideology. And their people, their data platforms, and their skills remain reasonably consistent. But when you're evolving, we want to move on to the next layer, which is where we want to bring more interactivity. We want to start to forecast. We want to start to be able to do geospatial analytics. And again, the skills levels change, the data structures and approaches need to change, and even the data people start to evolve as well. And again, if we're constrained by these elements over here, it becomes very hard to progress the business to these next elements. Further on from that, let's play on forward. What do we start to encounter? Well, the desire to do advanced analytics, to predict, to be able to have technology provide recommendations, ultimately help drive decisions, build prescriptive data models. And again, if we look at delivering that kind of insight, we move forward once more. And we start to see again a different profile of skills needed to support and to gain insight out of these new analytical applications. And again, my data sets and my data management has to move. So we move from kind of a data warehouse architecture to the concepts of data lake. We start to wonder about streaming data, using open data, using third-party external data sources, etc. Until we get to the last mile is where we're going, which is really the artificial capability where, you know, we've got image analytics being focused on, we've got analytics that's assessing videos to provide data, we can interact with customers through chatbots. And again, once again, our skills change, our data platforms and our people need to evolve, and the types of data we ultimately use to drive insights becomes better. So becomes more complex even. Building this robust analytics model is a constant, continuous improvement cycle. And you can't buy the next level and the next level. You have to evolve your analytics. You have to mature your people from being developers to becoming citizen data scientists, to becoming core data scientists, to becoming enterprise architects in the AI space as well. So the solution offering provides clients with the program of work to be able to deliver this through our analytics program methodology, which is where we focus on 3 key areas, which I'm not going to go through in great detail today, but really about the development of a stronger, comprehensive program, making sure that we can unlock the potential of the data model, and also that we can unlock the capability of the organization as well. Makes it far more scalable for any organization to deliver value from analytics. And the first one there on the analytics journey is being able to use a strong framework, a strong method, an approach to being able to understand how to design your strategy, how to engage your users from an adoption and literacy perspective, handle the change approach to the business, deliver data platforms that are going to work, as well as make the right technology decisions to suit your needs at that particular point in time. And in each of those, when we go through that now, we move into the data platforms, but it's about designing ultimately a data platform that makes sense for where we are. Not only just the traditional data platforms, but allowing us to build data platforms that can answer unknown questions about unknown data sets. That allows us to leverage the scale of the cloud, as well as design data science and AI use cases to fit our business. And on the last block of that, it's also then about user capability. So the ability to move from just doing basic BI and dashboards into proper analytics, to advanced analytics. And this analytical journey is this constant evolutionary cycle that the business has to go through, as well as the literacy. So this journey goes hand in hand with the literacy, and also being able to put the right skills down at the right time that would allow the business to go from not only just reporting on things that happened in the past, but to being able to predict the things that are going to happen in the future, as well as being able to tell people what next they should be doing, and then reporting on the effectiveness of those actions. So ultimately, a perfectly aligned analytics environment creates a business where people are able to work well with data, whether they work with it or read it or analyze it or argue with it, that are competent to evolve their analytical capability and are using data to drive the outcomes they want, as opposed to just understand what happened yesterday. And by getting that right, this data analytics as a service model becomes one of the first universal servicing models to help clients to unlock that potential. And it follows a very clear program. It's a very clear 4-stage approach around the design of the architectural strategy, the deployment of the environment, the ability to build the platforms and the applications you're going to need to use, and then to handle the transformation journey and the change program that's going to ultimately fit your business. And I'll talk you through an example of this in a moment for another client. But it's really about bringing structure, bringing rigor, best practice methodologies, and the skills and the breadth of skills needed and solutions to scale an analytics environment, or while managing the cost barrier and the cost constraints by making this more affordable for companies to invest over the long term on an analytics journey. So let me give you a case study example of something we've done for an automotive retailer as well, that sells products for spares and parts, etc., inside of their organization. So their problem was the reality that they needed to rebuild an entire new data warehouse and data platform. It was designed to become an analytical data warehouse with the desire to put all their reporting into Qlik and into ClickSense. But it required the design of a source structure, that on-premise sources, an agreement to build in their environments in the cloud, to be able to leverage different advanced analytics technologies. And the cost of the entire solution at the start of COVID just suddenly became unpalatable because of the CapEx reductions that business had to go through. So what happens now? The business says we can't afford that kind of CapEx today. Maybe in 6 months' time, let's revert. But it doesn't change the business need for the information and the need for the insight. So we worked with them to redesign this solution for them and deliver it as an analytics as a service offering. And part of that was the development of their whole approach. So from their assessment program through to the deployment of their platform, implementing their data platform in the cloud, migrating their technologies into a cloud-hosted platform as well, the developments of their BI environments, as well as the continuous improvement program that was needed to ultimately fit their business and to take them so that even at a store level, their workers were able to use information to deliver a better outcome ultimately to the business. And they did that. They used one of, and these are just examples, these are customized to fit businesses. But the principle over here that they followed was around leveraging the scaling COE model, which allowed them at the center of excellence level to pick the right amount of time they wanted to invest at different times in the program, as well as what skill they ultimately needed. So in that example, they needed only just less than 20% of the time to be used on their domain experts, which were cloud architects, engineers, etc., that were very involved at the start of the program. But thereafter, it became about the build. And it became about how to deliver the services and build the data platform, build the analytics applications. But then we migrated back into using this time later on because we needed data scientists to do all of the data science algorithms and the machine learning capabilities also. And as we evolved and it moved into run and maintain, once again, we shifted to core delivery and support service capabilities that we're able to help them optimize the platform and run the system for them also, all leveraging base DI knowledge. So what they did was we followed a very strong, our normal data analytics methodology in terms of these different streams of work. So we treated it as a normal project as if we would have always done it. We built it in the same fashion. We were able to deploy the data platform in the cloud, deliver the BI solutions, use the analytics algorithm calculation engines like Python and R, etc., like that. And to ultimately follow then also our data governance framework. So we implemented data governance for them, which was around data ownership, their stewardship program. We made it part of their core scorecard methodology, assigned data sets to different people in the business, and allowed them to build a strong data governance approach all at the same time. So this was no different to running the full program for them, delivered with the same talent and skills that sits within the DI business. But again, changing their whole costing model and outcomes. And that allowed them to build really, really advanced workflows and AI algorithms, etc., to service that information back into Click. And that meant then that they were able to provide a standard data platform and analytics platform for their users without having to letting the users have to deal with all the complexity of what it took in this example to help them to predict credit limits on different days based on different customers. So they could dynamically offer customers credit limit improvements based on what those customers were buying at varying different times ultimately. And part of that also then became the analytics outcomes afterwards. So the reporting and the insights that their data science team was delivering for them was not only just the platform, but really meaningful, deep insights into opportunities as well. So helping them to be able to understand where they were overstocking versus understocking, helping them understand how to predict better volumes in terms of what's the optimal volume to place for a particular route based on how they were taking deliveries as well. Also in terms of understanding at different routes in terms of profitability of clients based on how their clients' buying patterns were changing. And also to unpack based on all elements of what they brought into their store, how they improved their demand forecasting ultimately, because again, they were able to predict rates of sale, they were able to predict products that needed to go off, some of their categories go off as well, how much they were actually selling to customers and how much their wholesale customers were on selling further on as well, and what that meant for stock levels. So we went from this environment, which was very standardized reports, very simplistic in nature, to a highly advanced data platform. And with that provided insights, that provided real true decision-making capability to the business, and a team that was flexing up and down based on their needs, but provided all of this in a simple single monthly cost model that allowed them to access everything I've spoken about for a single cost that was exponentially cheaper than what they were gonna have to pay in day one if they were to follow the CapEx-based route. And this changed the whole business's environment, their whole ability to use analytics, and gave them the kind of catalyst that was going to take 6 to 9 months to start again because of a CapEx constraint. They were able to start to deliver immediately. And in the first 2 months, the solution being built, the warehouse being developed, etc., by month 3, they were able to have their analytics delivered and done. And they were starting to use it. Now they're starting to evolve into the next mile, which is deeper advanced analytics. We're going to start picking streaming data based on what's happening in store. We're going to start looking at dynamic stock ordering based on what's going out of the till, so we could start to predict faster moving products. But all in all, this all became possible by a shift in the servicing model that changed the whole cost dynamic to fit the services model, to fit the software as a services model that they were buying for the platforms that they were ultimately using. So from a summary perspective, what we're doing is we're changing the entire environment and the entire approach away from the complexities that has been how we deliver over the last while to a dynamic, fast-paced, iterative, evolving, continuous improvement model that we've seen, as we've seen across a range of customers, has helped them to deliver far faster, be able to get through blockages of cash in terms of CapEx as well, but also put them on a clear, sustained path into the future that allow them to to evolve their platforms to be relevant to their future and to continue on their analytics journey, even in this complexity that we've all faced over the last 6 months. And all delivered in a simple, framed, single solution offering over a period of time that makes you clear on the cost you're going to pay, the output you're going to get, the methods of delivery, and the skills you've got access to. And with that, that business was able to accelerate their analytics journey far faster than before. So if there's something that appeals to you, if there's something you think is would help your business to unlock the blockages of your analytics program as well, or help you to provide better structure to where you're going or access skills, please speak to your different account execs that work with you, because we'd love to have a chat and see how we can make a model like this work and be customized to ultimately fit with your business.